What's going on, everybody? Chase with iDub Hockey, joined today with Dan Rich, Product Development Manager for Sherwood Hockey. We're here in Calgary, Alberta. We've got the brand new Rekker Legend Pro line in front of us. Super exciting stuff because this is the biggest change I've ever seen in the Rekker line. But let's talk about the Rekker player before we start talking tech and spec. Who did you build the Rekker line for?
The Rekker family has been real consistent all along. We've always maintained that this player is the player who does all their work from the bottom of the circles and to the top of the blue paint. So out of the corner, a player who gets to those difficult areas and needs to get that puck on the stick and off the stick quickly in those scoring areas. That's who we really feel the Rekker player is.
And that's why it's always had that low kick point, but this year we see, like I mentioned, a real big change in that kick point and the overall shaft construction. So tell me about ETS. Why am I so excited about it?
Well, we really took engineering to the next level with Sherwood design. We had been very much a traditional stick maker up to that point, and we wanted to try and explore some benefits of geometry and lay up in carbon fiber to see if we could really create a new engine within the Rekker family. The ETS, the ergo taper shaft, is a new invention for us. It's something that allows us to bring three different distinct shapes throughout the construction, where you've got that rounder shaft, that convex at the top, making it quite versatile in your top hand. And then we go to a unique design into the middle where you actually have convex in through the fingers and rounded or concave in the back of the hand in that loading position. And that really creates a proper loading platform for you to really actually create some quickness and some snap. And then we go to a much rounder profile, convex again, but much more tapered down in through the hosel, which not only promotes a little bit more durability because of the rounder structure with no straight edges, but also really enhances our kick point in that low kick.
So as you mentioned, this works with Duo Fire Kick Point, and both of these, as someone who's been a long time Rekker fan, it was the biggest thing I noticed my first time skating with it. You know, it takes a little bit of adjustment, but what stick doesn't require that adjustment? So can you explain to me the differences for someone like myself who's been using the Rekker a long time? What is the ETS as well as that Duo Fire Kick Point going to do for that Rekker player?
Well, the ETS, we talked about that loading platform. So that bottom hand really gives you that rounded edge where you actually put all of that force down on that XY when you shoot. Now, as you get down into the taper, the Duo Fire Kick Point is a traditional low kick where it's actually even a touch lower than what we had with our Rekker Element Pro and Element 1. But in turn, there's a secondary kick point or another bump. And if you were to see it on a graph, you'd see the spike of the low kick and then a secondary spike kind of just below your bottom hand. And what that is essentially a second gear, if you will. So you load, and in some cases in an old traditional low kick, that would be maxed out and then it would release. What we get is a loading point and then a secondary gear between your hands that actually gives it that extra pop. So you've got real quick snap reaction from that low kick.
And that was something I noticed, especially out here today too, is it feels like just above your lower hand, it's flexing just above it, and that has to do with that Duo Fire, right?
So today's players now are shooting, the shooting mechanics have evolved to the point where players are now shooting with their hands uncoupled from their body, out in front from a stick handling position, and then quick reaction without a tell. Old guys like me, you lower your hand and you shoot it, and a goalie can actually predict when I'm going to shoot. Whereas younger players now, from that stick handling position, they're able to shoot with their hands high, hands uncoupled from the body, and that Duo Fire Kick Point really gives them the benefit of that added snap.
And that's something you will feel the first time you shoot like that. And like you said, just so much more deceptive for that sniper. Obviously, that's who the Rekker's built for. But
absolutely.
The other change that we see too is in the blade a little bit as well. So let's talk about, you know, the new VR92 and where that inspiration or that evolution came from.
Obviously, VR92 is a dampening material that we inlay into our blades. And we wanted to create a little bit more of a receptive feel, so a little softer feel, a little less vibration, and so that you weren't getting that ping right off the blade. With a low kick point, you still need quite a stiff blade. You have a lower soft portion of the stick, therefore you have to compensate it with a little bit stiffer blade. The opposite is the case in our TMP family, where you have actually quite a stiff lower portion, and therefore you need a little bit more softer blade. They have to act in conjunction to create that energy. So low kick, you've got a soft lower portion in the lower kick point, and then a slightly stiffer blade. And we've refined that, and then VR92 gives us that reception point. So you've got a rubber dampening area both in the toe, in the heel, and in the reception area of the blade to reduce some vibration and give you a little bit more consistent feel.
It's kind of like that best of both worlds, creating that stiffness, but not losing that feel for catching passes and stick handling in traffic, right?
That's exactly it. Keep in mind, the VR92 doesn't take away from the flex or the stiffness of the blade.
Right.
It simply takes away that vibration, if you will.
Yeah, that bounce almost.
Correct.
Okay, so let's also finish off with materials here. We've seen, a handful of these flagship materials in the construction in the Legend Pro, but maybe for someone that hasn't, has been sleeping on Sherwood for a couple of years, they're going to be a little surprised here. So talk me through the construction as well as the materials that you use.
So if you look at our Legend Pro and in the Legend 1, you'll notice those big carbon fiber checkerboard pattern, if you will, and that's our 25K, our Blackline 25K carbon fiber. Those larger blocks basically allowing us for an elite level carbon fiber outer layer, which has less resin to it, which is lighter and in turn much stronger. Because you're not getting constant, if you think about those little tiny checkerboards in a 3K or in a 6K, you've got lots of resin to join all those weaves together. 25K, you've got longer strands, more stability, more stiffness in the longer strands, and less resin in between all those blocks. So we're very excited. It allows us to make a stick that is lightweight, but at the same time, very, very balanced. And that is the focus for Sherwood Hockey without question. Do we aspire to be the lightest in the industry? There are brands who chase that. For us, we want performance and lightweight. So we've got a sweet spot, if you will, and our 25K allows us to be perfectly balanced along with durability and light.
So let's finish this off. Two-part question here. What's the weight in a Senior 85 Flex? And then walk me through the really unique 3D grip texture.
So weight, the challenge has always been every pattern, every flex, every length will vary. So for anyone that's telling you our stick is this, well, wait a minute, you make 6 different patterns and you make 4 different flexes. So there's no true predictive weight. We're in the 380 range. Depends what pattern, depends what flex, depends what length you are.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. Then from there, we use some topographical linear lines. And they may look random at first glance on this stick. However, Sherwood goes into its 75th anniversary in 2024. 1949, the inception of the brand, and we wanted to bring back a little bit of heritage. This topographical map you see is actually the topographical map of Sherbrooke, Quebec. And the coordinates, the GPS coordinates are actually printed on the back of the stick.
Oh, that's too cool. And I also like, the heritage, but also the feel when you're playing, you know exactly kind of where that kick point is to a degree, but just gives you some great feedback. You know where that stick is sitting in your hands at all times. Now, as we move on to the Legend 1, if I asked you to cover this, I feel like you would almost say everything you just said about the Legend Pro, about the Legend 1.
We've learned a lot over the last few years in working with our pro athletes, whether it's at the NHL level, whether it's actually a European pro or minor. And what we've found is most elite level pros are using something a little bit more robust, a little bit heavier than the true super lightweights at the retail level. And what we wanted to do is create a pro level stick that gave all the performance that's possible and do it at a slightly more affordable price, obviously. So we took all the technology out of the Legend Pro and we put it in a little bit more robust package in the Legend 1. This is every tech feature and benefit you have in the Legend Pro is in the Legend 1 and simply 20 grams heavier.
So about 400 grams in about an 85 flexor, depending on the flex.
Again, the various ranges, right? I try not to get too hung up on weight, only because at the end of the day, you could go super light and lose some feel and performance or durability, and you could go too heavy and be a bit of a club, and we want to avoid that. So we want feel, we want performance, and we've done that with the Legend 1, giving a true pro spec stick.
And so let me swap you these two for the Legend 2 here. This is really a team stick, still a pro stick from top to bottom. There's so many trickle-down technologies, so obviously you can tell I'm really excited about the appearance, but more importantly the specs and performance. But walk me through a couple of those really standout features at this price point.
The exciting part about this is that we were able to bring a price point, a super affordable performance level stick. So the 25K, Blackline 25K carbon fiber, you see is still visible in the blade. So it's the same features you have in the 1 and in the Pro. We actually go to a painted shaft here, so instead of having 25K throughout, right, which just goes in concert with the price point as you decrease. And then you still have your VR92 in the blade, but you only have it in the reception area as opposed to the toe and the heel as well.
But that's the most important place to have it, right?
Without question. That's where the puck comes onto the blade, that's where the puck leaves, right? So we've got that advantage of VR92, 25K carbon fiber, and again, in a little bit more affordable price point, a little bit more robust to construction.
And what's the weight on this one do?
You're gonna be, again, the 420, 430 range, maybe a touch higher. But again, this is still, the key is balance point here. Yeah. And if you were to take the Pro, the 1 and the 2 and compare the balance point, the variance only goes up by half an inch to an inch as you move along. So you still got a really excellently balanced product with great feel.
And all those great new technologies too, which is really exciting.
Question.
And then as we move into more of that recreational performance level, the first thing I'm noticing, aside from the graphics, is that it also has the name bar. So that's one thing that we could have touched on in the Legend Pro, but can you give us a quick call out about what that means, especially when you're shopping with Ice Warehouse?
Our constructions in the past and our graphics in the past, we've had a traditional black name bar, and the request was making it perhaps a little bit more user-friendly for your perspective to actually print the player's name or specifics that they wanted. So this gray name bar that we added to our graphics makes it much more easier for our retail partners to actually print the players' names and sell that personalized stick to the consumer. So we're happy with that. That changes in all of our graphics, and you'll see that in all of our Pro sticks moving forward as well.
That's awesome. And you're the first company to do that from the top price point all the way to the opening price point. So even these performance and recreational or new to hockey players, they're gonna feel like a pro out there with their name on it.
Without question.
So talk me through a couple key specs here. You know, this is really that value buy for, like I said, that beginner, new to hockey or casual player. Just walk me through a couple key specs here.
So the 3 and the 4 are those price fighters, as you mentioned. These do not feature the ETS shaft. This is more of a traditional Rekker shaft. Still the low kick point. And then in the 3, one of the great features, again, is the fact that we do have our visible Blackline 6 carbon fiber. So you've got that carbon fiber weave in the blade, which gives it, again, a little bit lighter weight, a little bit more durability. In the 4, you're looking at that really kind of young and aggressive graphic, got a lot of pop on the wall. The consumer will love the look of it. It's very visible on ice. Everybody will know what stick you're using right away. But at the same time, it's actually really affordable, excellent product from a durability standpoint, and giving that entry-level player something that they can use in the Sherwood brand.
Well, Dan, I just want to say thank you so much for having us out here and walking us through this really exciting Legend Pro line.
It's my pleasure. Welcome to Alberta, and thanks for repping Sherwood.
Absolutely. And for you at home that want to check out these exciting new Legend Pro sticks, make sure you head over to icewarehouse.com.